You've probably seen the iconic horror film, but have you ever wondered what inspired William Peter Blatty to write this terrifying tale? Today, we're going to explore the true story behind the movie, a story that's just as haunting as the film itself. The Exorcist has become a cultural phenomenon, and for good reason. It's a masterclass in building tension and suspense, but what's even more fascinating is the real-life events that sparked Blatty's imagination. The story we're about to dive into is a testament to the power of human fear and the unexplained. It's a reminder that sometimes the things we can't explain are the most terrifying of all. So, let's get started and see if we can uncover the truth behind the girl who inspired The Exorcist. From the moment the film was released, people were intrigued by the idea that it was based on a true story. And while the movie certainly took some creative liberties, the core of the story is rooted in reality. So buckle up and get ready to explore one of the most chilling tales in horror history. In the early 1940s, a young girl from Maryland began experiencing strange and terrifying events. She would later become the inspiration for Regan McNeil, the possessed girl in The Exorcist. But before we delve into the details of the exorcism itself, let's talk about the challenges this girl and her family faced. The girl's family was desperate for help, but they were met with skepticism from medical professionals and the media. No one believed that their child was possessed by a demon, and they were accused of faking the whole thing for attention. Can you imagine how frustrating and isolating that must have been? The family was torn apart by the events unfolding before their eyes, and they were powerless to stop it. The girl's behavior became increasingly erratic, and her parents were at a loss for what to do. They tried everything from medical treatments to spiritual remedies, but nothing seemed to work. The girl's possession was becoming more and more intense, and it seemed like no one was taking them seriously. The family's desperation reached a boiling point when they turned to the Catholic Church for help. They were convinced that their child was possessed by a demon, and they needed the church's expertise to exorcise it. But even the church was skeptical at first, and it took a lot of convincing before they agreed to perform the ritual. The girl's family was subjected to ridicule and scrutiny by the media and the public. They were accused of being attention-seeking and fabricating the whole story. But the family knew what they were experiencing was real, and they were willing to do whatever it took to save their child. As the exorcism process began, the girl's behavior became even more extreme. She would lash out at her family, scream obscenities, and even physically attack them. It was like she was no longer in control of her own body. The family was living in a state of constant fear, never knowing what would happen next. The exorcism itself was a grueling process that lasted for weeks. The priests involved in the ritual were subjected to physical attacks, and the girl's body would contort in ways that seemed humanly impossible. It was a truly terrifying experience that would haunt the family for the rest of their lives. The cultural context of the time played a significant role in how the story was perceived. The 1940s were a time of great social change, and the idea of demonic possession was seen as superstitious and backward. But the girl's family knew what they were experiencing was real, and they were determined to get to the bottom of it. The exorcism process was shrouded in secrecy, and the church did its best to keep it under wraps. But the story eventually got out, and it sparked a national conversation about the nature of evil and the supernatural. As the ritual drew to a close, the girl's behavior became more and more erratic. She would scream and thrash about, and her body would contort in ways that seemed impossible. It was like she was fighting for her life, and the demon was fighting to stay inside her. The final exorcism ritual was the most intense of all. The priests involved in the process were subjected to physical attacks, and the girl's body was twisted and contorted in ways that seemed humanly impossible. It was a truly terrifying experience that would haunt the family for the rest of their lives. The girl's transformation after the exorcism was nothing short of miraculous. She was her old self again, free from the grasp of the demon that had taken over her body. The family was finally able to find some sense of peace, but the experience would stay with them forever. The film's legacy in popular culture is undeniable. It's one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, and its influence can be seen in countless other films and TV shows. But what's often forgotten is the real-life story behind the movie. The girl's transformation is a testament to the power of faith and the human spirit. She was able to overcome something that seemed impossible, and she came out the other side stronger and more resilient. It's a truly inspiring story that deserves to be remembered. So what do you think? How do you think the film compares to the true story? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to check out my next video on horror film inspirations. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.